The UNC Pembroke track and field team competed at the Trojan Challenge in Mount Olive last weekend, with both the men's and women's team coming in third in the field. The Braves were led by freshmen Devontae Norman and LaShonda Tate, who both won a pair of jumping events. The Braves are back in competition today at the Florida Division II Invitational in Daytona. UNCP softball dropped a pair of Peach Belt Conference doubleheaders to North Georgia and Young Harris over the weekend. The Braves are at Armstrong State today and Flagler tomorrow. On the baseball diamond, the Black and Gold lost a weekend series versus Georgia College last week. Another home series is underway, with today's game against North Georgia slated for a 3 p.m. start. The Black and Gold Report starts now. Welcome to another episode of the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi, a show all about UNC Pembroke athletics. I'm Cameron Songer. Today we recap the men's basketball and wrestling seasons with head coaches Ben Miller and O.T. Johnson. We'll start with men's basketball head coach Ben Miller. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Cameron.
This season, 24-8 record, the first Peach Belt Conference regular season title in program history, the first Peach Belt Conference tournament championship in program history. Prior to the season, and perhaps even maybe during the season, did you think these accolades were possible for your team?
I felt we had a chance to be pretty good. Even before the first practice, we got up on a ladder and cut down a net. I'd heard Jimmy Valvano had done that back in '83. And just to give your guys that vision of, what you're working for. We had our ups and downs early, but the guys really finished strong and came together, and it was fun to see them achieve those accomplishments.
Before the Braves hit their stride really in February, the team went through an up and down stretch over the course of January. What was the real turning point that got the team headed in the right direction this season?
It may have been a process. We may have bottomed out at Francis Marion. We lost. That was our third in a row. We had an early morning meeting the next day. And that was really the last time I think we'd got out rebounded, and defensively we just weren't very sharp. And I think the upperclassmen, the seniors, the captains got together, and I think they really took ownership. And along with great contributions from some young guys, I think from that point on, the team really bought into defense and rebounding. We'd scored the ball well throughout the year, but our defense had to improve for us to have a chance to compete for championships.
The Black and Gold then ran away with 10 straight wins to claim a share of the regular season conference championship and then the first PBC tournament title in program history. How exciting were some of those nights, and what do those accomplishments mean for the program?
Well, it's hard to describe. I mean, when we got here 9 years ago, those have been our goals, some of our goals from day one. May not have been very realistic those first couple of years, but even those players that were part of our 6-win season, our 9-win season, and then that third team that kind of made a breakthrough, winning 18 and getting to the tournament for the first time. Those guys are all part of what this team accomplished, building a foundation, trying to establish a winning tradition. And even the former players going back 30, 40 years, those guys had some really good teams. When Dan Kinney was coaching, and even before that, they had some great basketball teams here. So there was tradition here. You just had to go back a few years. So the former players, the players we coached our first few years, all helped get us to this point. And, it's a group effort. The team was dialed in. They worked together, and it's just fun to see a group of guys come together and achieve a mission like that.
And we haven't talked to you since the end of the season, an NCAA tournament loss to Limestone. What were some of your big takeaways from that game?
It's tough. I mean, you're watching on TV now with the Division I tournament, the finality of a season. So many great teams, Villanova getting knocked out and the defending national champion. And it's tough, but, when you get to that point, postseason play, NCAA tournament, everybody's good, everybody's capable. And sometimes it doesn't always end like most of the time. Most of the teams aren't going to win that last one. The challenge, I think, for the players is to, and as a coaching staff, is to get them to refocus on the season, the big picture, what they accomplish over the course of the season, and not letting one game define the season.
For most of your players, it was their first game in the NCAA tournament, their first time experiencing that. Despite losing the game, how do you think that experience will help the team over the next few years?
Well, I think it'll motivate them. I think, we had this year, we did have a couple guys that had been there before, and, that does help, just being in that atmosphere under that one and done mentality where, if you lose, you got to go home. So I think our returning players will be motivated to come back, work this summer, and hopefully achieve even more next year.
We need to take our first time out, but we'll be back with more UNCP men's basketball right after this.
Brave Nation is about to commence. Rewards, event times, and the Brave Nation student section, it all lives here. Download hashtag Brave Nation for free, fill out your full user profile, check in from your Brave Nation section seat, and start redeeming swag. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on important Brave Nation information. Download the app, fill out your profile, be loud in the Brave Nation student section, and get rewarded.
Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report, joined once again by UNCP men's basketball coach Ben Miller. Coach, your team had 2 all-conference selections, both juniors, Brandon Watts and Nigel Grant getting named to the All-PBC third and second team respectively. They'll form a big part of the core for next year, but who else do you see filling in around them and stepping up?
Well, you got to talk about Akia Pruitt right away. I mean, he won as a freshman, got MVP of the conference tournament. There was a lot of us that felt he should have won Freshman of the Year in the league based on what he achieved. But, he had a great freshman year along with Micah Kinsey. David Struthers was here on campus, sat out for us this year, but he'll be eligible next year in the backcourt. But when you got 2 veteran, all-conference guys like Nigel, Brandon Watts, those guys, they'll be the leaders, returning captains. But we had great depth off the bench with Carson Mounts, James Murray Boyles. Those guys all really contributed. So our whole front line's back. We got some young guys who are going to have to step up in the backcourt. Andrew Evans will be coming back from a knee injury, but he's well on his way to coming back strong. So we got a great group coming back.
Turning to the offseason, what do the next few weeks hold for you, for your staff, and for your players?
Well, the staff right now is focused on recruiting. Also, with our guys here on campus, making sure they stay focused academically. We'll be able to start up spring workouts here in another week or so, where we can start working on off-season skill development. Some of them are already getting in the weight room on their own. So I think strength conditioning this off-season, and just trying to finish up the recruiting class. We have a chance. We can't talk about individuals until after they sign, but we do have a chance to not have a huge class, but a really quality class, adding some guys that we think will really be able to help the program.
You mentioned recruiting. It's obviously a year-round process. We hear that from all of our coaches here on the show. But what excites you about this part of the process as the commitments start rolling in?
Well, it's a kind of a culmination of sometimes months and even years of work with couple prospects. It's not like football, where you're trying to sign 20, 25. For us, it's often 2, 3, maybe 4. But for each one of those 3 or 4 guys, you've probably evaluated 100 for each position and tried to find that right fit. And then once you evaluate and you try to find those guys that are a good fit, now if they're good players, you're probably recruiting against some other schools as well. And so the evaluation and the recruiting process, we do have some visits coming up where we get guys on campus here. And if we get a player on campus, I always feel we have a great chance to get them. The campus sells itself. It's a beautiful place with great people, and our players are very involved in the recruiting process along with the staff. So, I feel like we have great people here as long as a great university to sell to incoming recruits.
This year's team set a pretty high bar. 24 wins is the 4th most in program history. How do you think it will be to have a target on your backs next year as the defending conference champions?
Well, I think we did somewhat this year, and I think we've had teams in the past that have dealt with that, and I think that's a good thing. Hopefully our guys will welcome that. If you have that target on your back, it means you've achieved something, and, getting a win against us is a big deal. So hopefully that'll continue to be the case, and we'll step up to the challenge.
wrapping up this team season, sort of celebrating them one last time as the school year winds down. What are sort of your plans as the calendar comes to a close here?
Well, we've got a Thursday, April 6th, we've got a year-end banquet to celebrate the season, and again, I think giving us a chance for the whole team, but especially those seniors, to celebrate. You know, they still have a bit of a bitter taste in their mouth from the last game, but I think having a chance to celebrate their accomplishments this year. We're going to do it at Pinecrest Country Club, and I think some details will be available to some fans that would like to attend. We're doing a golf outing that day, so there'll be a lot of former players and coming in from out of town and some boosters to kind of enjoy the day, get a little golf in, and then celebrate there at Pinecrest. But those seniors are a special group. Alex Quamain, Mike Smith, those guys accomplished things here that have never been done before. And it's a special group of guys, and they're family and part of, you know, everything we do moving forward. And just to have a chance to be associated with those guys and watch them grow and mature and get their degree and move on has been really rewarding, and we're going to miss those guys.
Head coach Ben Miller, congrats on a great season. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Cam.
Stay tuned to the Black and Gold Report. We'll be back after this.